Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to another stupendously exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, I'm the editor-in-chief over at bloodygoodhorror.com. Joining me tonight, first off, co-host, co-founder of the Friends of the Real Housewives podcast. He is maybe the most accomplished member of the Bloody Good Horror podcast. His name is Joe.
Oh, I'm just riding on Evan's coattails. It's really...
Living in the suburbs, grilling meats, drinking beer.
I saw a horse running by, and I hitched my wagon to it.
I'm workshopping some like PTA jokes and stuff now that you're living out in the suburbs, but I'm just not quite there yet.
I love it so much. I mowed my lawn yesterday in a tank top. And just...
I want to make an official motion that since we're live streaming now, Joe has to wear that pineapple Hawaiian shirt every week.
Man, that thing is money. Love it.
Next up on the show, the high priestess of books and highfalutin learning at Bloody Good Horror. She runs the BGH Book Club, and her name is Cece.
Hello, what's up?
Not much. Books.
Yeah.
I don't
Those
get
are
it.
always there.
Confusing. Next up on the show, he is the business manager at bloodygoodhorror.com, and as we covered last week, has an MBA from the same institution as one Mr. Donald J. Trump.
Wait, what? Really? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah. Otherwise, how could you business without it?
I'm with her, bro.
Yeah.
I'm with her.
Ask John about his steaks.
Anyway, his name is John Schnars.
What are
John, they're in your neck of the woods down there in Philly.
my, they are among my peoples.
Your previous neck of the woods.
My original neck.
Yeah. Last up on the show here tonight, author of horror fiction, co-host of the Instamatic. His name is Casey.
This is also my original neck.
Yeah, true. We are here tonight. I didn't even say this. We are here tonight to talk about a little film called Lights Out. I believe it was a short film first and then got turned into a feature. Is that what is that what someone told me, John?
There's a story. I don't care to know it or to ever learn it. So,
Ooh.
no, I think
Right
that's
to it, huh?
I think that's largely accurate.
Yeah.
James Wan produced. He sort of. My understanding is he saw the short, plucked the director, one David Sandberg, and helped shepherd this along.
Nice. But before we do that, other stuff, John. There's other things going on in horror. Namely, suddenly out of nowhere this week, we found out that The Woods, to be released this September, is actually a covert, sly sequel to the Blair Witch Project, Blair Witch 3, if you will.
Witch! Blair Witch!
Trailer thoughts. We made sure everybody saw this before the show.
I think that they were so pumped about the success of The Witch. They were like, you know what? Let's just fucking shoot a little extra.
I gotta say, super
Go
weird.
Blair Witch.
Super weird too. In case he had the same experience, I saw this film the day they announced that, and I was still just saw a regular Woods trailer.
Yep.
Which is so weird.
Yeah, I saw the Woods trailer in front of this movie and it still said The Woods. It didn't say Blair Witch.
Yeah, because it was still just the teaser. It wasn't like the full trailer.
Well, you got to figure they didn't announce it until this weekend at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And that shit's with film and digital and stuff. It's probably too hard to get it out
They
there.
conned us. It was a Comic-Con con.
Oh God.
To keep that
Get
like
him out of here.
to keep that under wraps is some like that's some J.J. Abrams shit right there to like keep it a secret until like 2 months before.
So, I mean, I have done zero research and or reading about this other than like what was on Twitter. Are the like same people involved? Like, did they just like
No, it's
have
like
the rights?
I think isn't it like Adam Wingard and that crew doing it?
Yeah,
Wingard
that's
is the director. But
So
like,
they at Comic-Con, Casey and I were just rapping about this pre-show, but it looks like what they did was what I would term the right thing, which is they brought Sanchez and Mirik on as, I would guess, some kind of producer. Like, bring them on, have them be consultants, like, which is the smart. It's the smart thing to do. Those were two guys who were like, nobody that movie made them. It's a cult hit. Like, people associate their names with it. Like, do the right thing, bring him in, give him the paycheck,
And they had both Eduardo Sanchez
so
and
they had him,
America at Comic-Con.
yeah, at Comic-Con doing press, which is super smart too. So that's cool. I mean, good for them, like listen, like it's cool if your thing is still like financially viable that is 20 years ago or whatever it was.
My question, I guess, was who owns the rights to the original? Because like it was Artisan, I think, but is that even?
Yes, another thing we discussed pre-show, John, if you showed up.
Yeah.
The
Well,
film was
I got there
show up on
earlier
time.
than Joe.
the
so I was
Blair
pretty
Witch.
pumped.
The Blair
Actually,
Witch.
John, I got here at 7 o'clock, so I'm an hour before you.
The original and the Book of Shadows were both Artisan Entertainment Productions. That went out of business. Lionsgate purchased that, and they've actually owned it for years. So they've owned the property for a long time.
Gotcha.
I think
Yeah.
Artisan now just strictly makes flatbreads. I think that's what they.
Well,
they've got
also
back in the
mayo and pickles and
niche. Just Artisan.
soaps.
They got a big following in Brooklyn. It's
Yeah.
like-
Yeah, they're
So-
the big. They're the.
It's the newest band the kids are listening to.
Guys, how did we do the show without Joe? I'll tell you.
But
I got 3 weeks worth of stupid comments built up.
so I think the trailer looks pretty cool. It's a little confusing to me. Like, is it first person or not? Because they're looking like to be.
I do not think so.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too. Also, like, spoiler alert, but they're looking for Heather Donahue, the kid's quote unquote sister, who I know for a fact quit acting and like will not act. So I know she's not in the movie.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that she's dead. I mean,
Died. Hello.
Didn't they go look at?
You
didn't they
never
go look
know.
for her at,
You never know.
that burger place.
She could be a minion.
I heard that she actually died during the making of the original. That was just
Last I heard, she actually was like had a weed farm.
Yeah, I did
I
read
do
that.
remember that.
Yeah, they Spin magazine did this huge interview with her where she was talking about her weed farm.
Here's my
huge
prediction.
interview.
But
Like,
she-
Spin magazine could be in trouble.
She left acting because she basically after the Blair Witch had some real creepy stalkers and actually had a couple of like scary real life incidents. There was like some dude tried to run her off the road and stuff, like creepy shit like that.
Now I feel bad for making
Yes.
any
And
jokes.
so she like totally, removed herself from the public eye.
Thanks, Debbie Downer.
The guy Mike, who's the sound guy, he still acts. He was in Sanchez's what's that monster movie he made with the aliens that was really fucking good? Altered.
Altered.
Yeah.
He's really good in Altered.
Independence Day.
That guy's been in a bunch actually, even outside of.
Yeah, and so
Sanchez's stuff.
has the other guy, the tall blonde dude, who's been in a bunch of stuff, including Shark Night. He played Shark Murder or whatever. But I don't know, people doing stuff. But I wish I had looked up what issue it was, but I did like a huge Blair Witch retrospective for Horror Hound. Now I was living in Florida, so it was like almost 10 years ago.
Remember, guys, I write for the magazine.
F you.
I would
But
say the first thing
No,
that
it was-
stuck out to me when I found Bloody Good Horror was Eric's love for Blair Witch 2, Book of
yeah,
Shadows.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like
wow.
the two things that stuck out were like one, all the actors are basically just saying like, whatever you think about the movie, they were doing legit acting, but it made it really difficult to have careers because the thing they were doing was so foreign that like people didn't really look at it as acting.
right.
And the whole shtick was it was a real thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Plus, they had that whole period where they couldn't actually use it as.
Yeah, or talk about it.
and
or
I do like really like the Blair Witch 2, and it got Joe Berlinger, who also did the Metallica documentary, Some Kind of Hate or whatever that is.
really?
Yeah, so I got him for the piece and like talked to him at length about Blair Witch 2, but I had to undergo like, I talked about this too, like intensive email negotiations with this guy to get him to talk to me because he basically thought I was like punking him, that I wanted to interview him about the Blair Witch. And like what I found out later was that this basically like almost destroyed him because the reception was so bad. Like the way he described it is that he basically was like comatose in his apartment, like laying on the floor for like 2 months after this movie came out. And then he got a call from Metallica's manager, and they were like, "We want you to do this documentary." And that he basically said like that movie saved him
Wow.
because it made he was like, "Oh, I can do this."
If you guys
but-
haven't
realize
seen
they
that, it is money.
yeah,
You
but,
realize he probably left after that interview, like to his wife, like, "Look, I do have a fan."
Yeah.
but fascinating story. And I was like this close. He told me that he has a director's cut on a VHS in his attic, and he was like almost gonna send it to me, and then he didn't. It's fine. But anyway, I'm gonna look up during the break what issue that was. But I'm a big fan. Like the original was a big, like nostalgic memory for me, as I feel like it is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
our
Yeah,
age.
I mean, I liked both of them, and I used to watch both of them, quite often. So
Do you
think that
think I need to see the sequel before I see this one?
Probably
You
not.
should watch it. It's if nothing else for like an odd little time capsule thing.
It's an interesting way to see how they decided to continue on for that.
yeah, that's true.
I'm not as big a fan as Eric is, but I didn't mind the movie. I didn't hate it. But if you're sitting there watching Blair Witch thinking, how would they ever follow up
Well,
on that? They came up with a good way to follow it up.
Here's the key to me liking it. Like, I didn't see it when it came out. I literally saw
Yeah.
it. I don't years after it came out, and was just like, oh, that was kind of cool. It's just kind of a weird little B movie thing.
Well,
I
and
think I watched it
I'd be going
because
in
of
with
your reviewer.
Thanks, Joe.
there you go. I'd be going in with pretty low expectations, so you
So
know.
I would
go that wrong.
it seems so. There's some like pretty prominent quotes at the top of this trailer from some people and a website that now listen, I may be mistaken about this, but I'm pretty sure that the person in those quotes has like done business with the people who directed and produced this movie because he also
think?
makes movies. And I'm just gonna go on a limb and say, like, if that's true, that's a little weird and might, maybe take it with a grain of salt.
Well, it's double weird that there's two quotes. It's like one, okay, I get
Yeah.
it, but two, like
Literally, I have to
Wow,
look it
slow
up.
down.
I have to look it up. I'm pretty sure these people have made movies together.
What's even weirder is Mark didn't tell us he was even giving quotes for this thing. I felt
So
strange.
maybe take the quote calling it the greatest horror movie of all time with like a tiny grain of salt. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll blow your butthole out.
Ouch. I
That's
don't
Joe's.
want
That's actually a Joe Charners quote.
They
do
did
not
all the
want that to happen.
VHSs together.
That's
It's-
Joe's like signature quote that he just licenses out. So it's always the same quote, but you have to pay him to use it.
that. Notting Hill. It'll blow your ass out.
Anyway, The Woods coming this September, or The Blair Witch, I guess it's just called now.
Yeah, now it's not even I think it's just called Blair Witch.
Blair Witch.
Witch.
Last Blair Witch thing. Does anyone remember when that movie came out? McFarlane Toys did a Blair Witch toy. And it was
Yes.
like this terrifying monster thing.
That you never actually saw in the movie. I do remember this.
Yeah, right.
Those
Yeah.
McFarlane toys, like I was obsessed with them.
I can't remember if it was that they had been asked to draw something up beforehand, or that they just did it even though it wasn't in the movie. But yeah,
no, I
like,
think it was after. It was
yeah,
definitely-
it's this cool looking thing. Somebody should find it.
I can't even process this.
It's neat.
I had so many shitty like Mets players that played for one season as McFarlane toys that I bought. Just because
Oh, wow!
I didn't even know
that
they
is
made.
a really interesting toy.
Who knew they made sports stuff?
Oh yeah, they had like a
Yeah.
huge line of like NHL, baseball players.
John,
everything.
send
Todd
me.
McFarlane is a businessman. He's not just a comic creator.
John, send me the link and I put it up in the video.
Yeah, I'm trying to it's hard for me to tell which is. There's like a bunch of them actually. There's like several different varieties,
I'm gonna get to the bottom of this more.
I think they're called variants.
variants.
Cece,
Sure.
Yes.
what's going on with the BGH Book Club currently?
We are about to start The Girls by Emma Klein in August, and it is a fictionalization of the Manson clan, and
Ooh.
it kind of focuses on the girls and their
Squeaky
whatever they get
Fromm.
into.
Squeaky.
Yes.
Yeah. One of
Squeaky
them just
Fromm?
got denied parole or something.
I was gonna say I can't remember now which one,
But then another one got let out recently, I thought.
I thought they all got
I
denied.
thought they were all still locked in there.
Yeah, I know for sure one just got denied. I just saw that, but I don't know about any others.
But
Is
hey,
there,
on a
sounds like
happy note,
you're-
Charles almost got married.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, until he realized that she was in it for the fame
Yeah.
or something.
is everyone in the book club still a huge nerd?
I thought that was a given,
Cool.
but yes, we are.
So John, the picture you sent, that's not the Blair Witch toy that I remember. There was another one that was more
There's a bunch of them.
like
Oh,
had
yeah. Hang on, I think I've got
spindly
it.
like arms and tree. I don't know.
Oh, like I said, there were several. That was just one of the better
I think-
staged photos.
That's the one I remember.
I think that the moment, that's it. I think that the moment where the old lady in the Blair Witch is describing her run-in with the witch as a kid, and she talks about how she was doesn't she talk about how she's got furry legs or something, and she was floating? I don't know. That's one of the creepiest scenes in all of movies to me when they're talking to that old lady. And I seem to remember reading that she was kind of just a crazy person that they found.
Blair Witch don't shave her legs.
It's true.
Blair Witch is German.
The scariest movie of all time.
Get in deiner corner, ja. Going to Blair Witch you now.
I'm going to do witchy things.
I am the Blair Witch. You get in the corner. I'm going to go spooky all over you.
Oh, Joe, you missed an episode recently that had like the perfect segue to an accent. I wish I could remember what it was. It bummed me out. Joe, what are we drinking tonight while we review, not Blair Witch, while we review Lights Out?
Oh, man, we're drinking a beer with the word light in it. And it is from the good folks at Four Hands Brewing Company in St. Louis, Missouri. Do I have that right? I'm pretty sure that's where they are. And I had thought I had done this one before, but according to my notes, because I keep track of all the ones I do, John, I have not.
And who's a nerd? Wait, are we talking about nerds?
Well, I just like to know that I don't do doubles like John, like, every week. This is their Absence of Light, which is a peanut butter stout, or peanut butter chocolate stout, that is, which is delicious.
I gotta say, I'm not a fan of the label. It kind of just looks like a shit monster.
Well, I guess it kind of does. Yeah.
What happens to you the next day?
Have you ever seen Mon's Turd? Just saying.
I know I have
looks
done.
like a Pokemon.
He does look like a Pokemon.
Okay, the Poketrolls. I think I have done the Angry Beaver, their peanut butter stout before. This one is along the same lines. I want to say not as like super upfront with the peanut butter flavor. I think you kind of get like a little more chocolate in this than the peanut butter, but it's definitely has sort of that aftertaste. I like this one a lot. It is a milk stout, which means that they use like lactose usually in the brewing process. So it's a lot sweeter than like a Guinness or your average stout. So sometimes those, turn me off a little bit because I don't like that super sweetness, but I think this one's pretty well balanced. And yeah, I mean, if you're looking for like sort of a different stout or something different to try, like I wholeheartedly suggest everything Four Hands does. They put out some really good stuff. Comes in at about 7% alcohol or a little bit over even, so it's up there.
Nice.
But you really like, I know I have said before how I really don't like beers where you kind of get the alcohol burn, and this one you do not. Like I don't think you would ever really tell that you're drinking a 7% beer unless you looked at the label.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, all around just a really good if you're looking to try something a little outside the norm as far as like stouts go.
Joe, I wholeheartedly recommend listening to your beer recommendation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fourhandsbrewery.com is their website. And it's cool. They do like sort of pairings with what sort of food each one of their beers would go well with. They say this one goes well with chocolate cake. So like a nice dessert beer, if you will. And yeah, like I said, everything Four Hands does is really good. So I definitely suggest you check this one out and anything else that they do.
Joe, you weren't there last week, but I found a cider company that I like out of Vermont called Citizen Cider.
Oh, nice. I mean, ciders are just blowing up.
They do a whole bunch of different styles, and I found this one that's brewed with a Belgian wheat yeast, and it's got it has no what are things in wine?
Tannins?
No, the preservative they put in it.
Oh, geez, I have no idea.
You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's really good. It's super dry. It tastes like a cross between like champagne and a beer. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I like that. Like, I'm not a huge fan of ciders that are like super sweet.
Well, that's what I've been looking for. So like when I found this, I was ecstatic.
I'll have to find. I forget what the
sulfites. That's the one.
Oh, there you go. Who put this out? But I had one a couple weeks ago that was like a basil, like apple cider, which was really good. Which sounds kind of weird, but it actually like balanced really well.
Yeah, basil is always nice with a little sweet. It brings in a little extra flavor there.
I think it's funny that you say that ciders are blowing up because I think we've actually peaked and moved on from the hard soda thing.
Oh,
yeah,
I don't know. I think. Oh yeah, Basil Mint from Seattle Cider Company.
The problem for me with the sodas is that a lot of them are still like beer bases, like with grains and stuff, and then they're just like adding flavors
and way
and
too
stuff.
much sugar.
It's a alternative, Eric.
Oh, sorry.
They are delicious.
Like I said, when I was that was my realization when I was buying the spiked seltzer, and I'm looking around and it's just surrounded by Bartles and James. I'm like, what am I doing with my life here? I feel like I'm going down a road. All right, that's the beer recommendation, something to get every week here with Joe. Thank you for that, Joe.
Thank you.
Let's take a quick break so that we can review Lights Out.
I feel like I'm dying inside. I feel like Nev Campbell in Scream 2. She thinks she can go off to college and be happy. And then the murderer comes back. Starts killing off all of her friends. Learned a lot of lessons from that movie. This is just one of them.
Greetings, gentle folk. This is James Duval from Donnie Darko, May, and Sushi Girl, and you are listening to BloodyGoodHorror.com.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big breaking TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. Joe, I gotta say, when you're out, I mean, not only do I miss just your general presence, but your dancing during the bumpers is sorely missed.
I was so fired up to be back this week.
If BC is listening, I would love an animated GIF of Joe dancing so that when he's not here, I can throw it up during the show. That would be stupendous. John Schnars.
Eric.
I also like stuff you do. I don't want you to go getting jealous on me or anything.
Eric, I could not be less concerned.
I don't want you to ever doubt my undying love for you, Schnars.
It's never actually entered my brain.
Okay, good.
That would be a thing.
I like to keep my baby happy. All right, John.
I usually just say thank you, but I mean, I guess you can be an asshole about it.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Joe.
Well, Joe, he does, every once in a while it goes a little too far, but...
You don't have to be New York City every day, John, all right?
Yeah. Right, you're too cool for this, whatever. All right, please bring me the word of the day. What do you got?
Today's word, Eric, is photodermatitis.
Oh, shit.
Sometimes referred to as sun poisoning or photoallergy, photodermatitis is a form of allergic contact dermatitis in which the allergen must be activated by light to sensitize the allergic response. So, this is it's one form of what you could call a light allergy, specifically sort of sunlight. Dermatitis is basically just any rash, and then the photo it comes from.
Is this something that you know a lot about, given your Germanic/Scandinavian history?
So this is interesting. I used to get sunburned all the time. I have not, knock on wood, gotten sunburned in probably 2 or 3 years, and I don't really know why, because I use sunscreen, but it's not like I'm like aggressively using it more than I used to. So
my wife and I still joke about when we met you for dinner after the Boston Marathon and you had a tan line of your headband across the top of your head.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Well, I mean, that's gonna happen when you run a marathon.
John, who's afraid of light in this movie?
Oh boy, I should have looked up all of the characters'
You don't have to
names.
give me the name.
Lights
You're doing so well too.
I don't expect that much.
Dirty Diana.
Diana.
Oh.
Diana.
That's not a song.
There is it Diana?
It is now.
No, isn't there a song Diana or is it Diana? All
It was
right,
Dirty
anyway.
Diana.
Yeah. So Lights Out is the story of a family. I guess principally it is the story of Martin and Rebecca. They are the children of Sophie. Martin is probably 8 or 10, and Rebecca is much older. She's maybe like 21 or 22. She's living on her own. She's essentially moved out of the house. And their mother, played by Maria Bello, is, dealing with a lot of sort of like mental issues. I mean, they basically describe it as depression, but she's difficult to live with. And on top of that, so the son originally sort of is getting upset because he hears her like talking to herself at night. And at one point he goes into her room and there's sort of like a figure that he sees her talking to. That is Diana. I should say we actually meet Diana in there's like an opening, whatever you want to call it, opening little sequence where we see the husband of Sophie, or it's actually like the second husband, killed by Diana while he's working at his mannequin factory. What did we? I guess it was like some sort of.
I mean, somebody's got to make mannequins, right? Might as well.
Well, they had like those huge industrial washing machines, so I assume it's like some sort of like clothing,
Yeah, like textile manufacturing or something.
I think the sign out front said textiles.
Yes.
It just
how much of their like $5 million budget do you think was Billy Burke's salary?
Or you mean his like hairstylist?
Yes.
Yeah. Why is that guy's hair so distracting?
I don't know. It's always just.
It's
Wait,
too
which one's Billy
pretty,
Burke? Oh,
and I'm not sure that it's real. I think those are the two
husband.
problems.
So it's funny, if you go to Billy Burke's page on IMDb, you know how they do the known for, and it's like 4 movies? All 4 of his are Twilight movies.
Oh yeah.
Which is weird because he's in a ton of stuff.
He was on.
I was gonna say Billy Burke of Drive Angry fame.
You know what he is? He's go-to Los Angeles dad. Like if you're making a movie set in Los Angeles and you need a dad who's like too pretty to be a middle America dad, like he's your guy.
Yeah,
we need Hollywood dad right now.
I guess he did like a ton of TV. I don't know. Yeah, in any event. So Billy Burke, he's murdered very, very quickly in the opening sequence by Diana. And the opening sequence is pretty effective because it basically sets up the full premise for at least those sort of quote unquote rules of the monster here, the monster being Diana. The main rule is that she only exists in the darkness, and that is to say she literally is obliterated in the light. So like the lights go on, she disappears, the lights go off, and she like immediately reappears. And so yeah, that kicks off. Basically, then you jump back to the family, you jump back to Sophie. The son and the daughter are kind of trying to figure out how they can help their mom, how they're trying to unravel what the hell's going on, while people around them are kind of being harassed and or attacked, including themselves. I don't know how much further you want me to get down the sort of like rabbit hole. I mean, we can kind of do the reveal. The reveal is done really early in this movie, so we could do that.
That's a good place to start. Let's do roundtable, and then we'll get into the reveal.
All right.
Joe,
Oof.
first of all, welcome back.
Hey, thanks.
Second of all, what did you think of Lights Out?
I don't know. Like, I think I'm going to be based on our emails, I think I'm going to be somewhere sort of in between John and the rest of the group. I thought it was fun enough. I thought it was super quick though. And I know I always joke around that like, I don't like movies that go over an hour and a half, but this one only comes in an hour and 20. So you're really looking at like an hour 15 tops with like credits and everything. And they kind of just gloss over everything that's going on here. Like the backstory, you know, why this is happening now. Like even that, like, we don't really get a ton of info on like why Diana is back or like what the hell's really going on there. So, I mean, I think in my email, I equated it to like a really good episode of like Tales from the Dark Side. So like in that respect, like I enjoyed it. I just don't know if 1, it really needed to be in theaters, and 2, it was worth the time to actually, you know, put pants on and go see it.
Interesting.
You had to have pants on for at least 120 minutes when you consider the commute.
Yeah.
From the.
Oh, rest assured, I was not wearing them in the car.
Is there no?
I mean, I don't want to imagine you putting on pants, but the thought of you putting on pants in the movie theater parking lot.
CC.
No.
Think about it.
Joe, there's no theater out in the burbs?
Oh no, there's theaters everywhere.
Okay.
Let it be known, I did not shower before I went to this either.
Cool. Cece, what'd you think?
I actually really enjoyed it. I saw the the short or whatever it was based on a long time ago, so I was mildly interested in it becoming a full feature, but we saw it in a fully packed theater, and the theater was extremely animated throughout the entire thing. And I don't know, I still really liked it. Like the tension was palpable, and the jump scares were super effective without seeming too cheap. And I liked a lot of the like the special effects they decided to use. I have to admit that I am scared of the dark, so I think I might be kind of biased in the fact that shadow people hanging out in the darkness already creeps me out. So I think I kind of ruined it.
John.
Yeah, I thought all of the effects were really strong. Especially the central effect of the sort of demon / evil monster kind of disappearing, reappearing. It was pretty scary. I thought the script was really not good, like to the point that I couldn't stick with it. It was, to Joe's point, it was really short. So that kind of lessens the impact of the script being really weak, but it was still just structured very strangely. I mean, we can get into it, but the way they do this sort of, I felt like there was basically a whole 45 minutes in the middle of this that was like like straight exposition dump for 45 minutes. And they could have done it more cleanly.
See, I actually thought they did it well in the sense of like it happened super early on. Like they didn't make me wait till an hour in. It was like 20 minutes in. They give you like I didn't think it was that long, but they give you all that information that you'd normally get like at the beginning of the third act, and then they just move on from there.
Well, it's more that they do it and then she basically has to redo it like 3 times. Like she does it for the brother and then she does it for the boyfriend and then she has like there's like several conversations like okay, like she was at the mental hospital and like there like it just felt like they dwelled on those details and kind of like kept rehashing them, and then there would be like a little additional twist, you know, like there was the treatment and like
the initial one just sets the story up, right, and then it just kind of gives you these little twists.
Well, I just felt like, I mean, if you were in that situation, in my opinion, you would need to like convince yourself multiple times that this was actually happening. So that didn't bother me as much that she was having to like repeat herself or like convince herself along with someone else that this was really happening.
I thought it unfolded well, so it didn't feel like a giant info dump.
Right.
They give us a little bit at a time is what it felt like.
Casey, what do you think of this?
I went into it with zero expectations. I didn't pay much attention to it. I knew it was based off of, I remember liking the original viral video, so I was curious how they're going to stretch that into a feature. I thought they did a pretty good job. Is it my top 5 of the year? Probably not. Top 10, maybe. I had fun. It was like Cece said, there's great tension. The ghost effects, I think, were good. I thought the acting was all pretty decent. That kept me engaged. I was surprised. I didn't know Maria Bella was in this. I thought she was really good.
I was trying to come up with her name the whole time. Like, where do I know her from?
Yeah.
I mean, she's someone who's like done good work. I don't know that she was great in this.
Wait, is that the mother?
Yeah, that's the mom.
I thought that was somebody else.
I don't know. It's not any worse than her performance in Big Driver. I like her as an actress, but that movie was
Big Driver.
Yeah. Like, it was bad.
When you
it was
hold
like
this
a Lifetime adaptation of a Stephen King.
Wasn't Minnie Driver in Big Driver?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying I expect.
She was
But when you compare this movie, which I think is fair to compare this movie, how many Blumhouse movies have we watched this year alone? And you compare this to a lot of those, it's a more fun time, and it doesn't feel as distilled and watered down for me.
Yeah.
Oh no! See, Cece brought up a good point. Like, I almost wonder because I saw this on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and there was literally 2 other people in the theater. Like, I'm sure I would have had a lot more fun with this if it was like a full theater because the tension was really good. And I thought, the spooky Diana was super creepy. But I think my faults are kind of on the same line as John. Like the story was just kind of like. Bleh.
So I had the opposite reaction of that, which isn't surprising because we all know me. But like so I had a rarity in that my theater was completely empty. I went at 11 a.m. Saturday morning. It was really nice out. It was actually like kind of overly hot in the East Coast this weekend, but. Nobody there.
It was fucking roasting.
Yeah, nobody there. I had my feet up. And it was incredible. Like, it's been I've had theaters where there's 1 or 2, maybe some stragglers. Nobody. It was the best. And because I've been having to buy my tickets in advance, I bought these like the night before on Fandango and then showed up and I was like, oh, I probably didn't need to do that. Because I was
11 a.m.
I was home. I was back in upstate New York, so I just kind of forgot.
I thought that was Naomi Watts.
So
I think maybe seeing it with a crowd kind of helped me gloss over a lot of the issues I think that John and Joe kind of felt about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like so anyway, just to kind of round us out, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't necessarily disagree. Like, the story is not incredible, but it's a ghost movie, right? Like, I'm sorry, but in 2016, a ghost movie story is not going to be incredible. So what I appreciated about it was it gets in so early. Like, it doesn't make me wait through an hour of doors creaking open and pictures knocking over. before
Yeah.
it gets to the
Yeah.
fucking point. It gets to the point.
No,
Like
it
literally
literally gets there in the first scene.
Literally, like
Yeah.
20 minutes in, they're telling me about this girl at the mental institution and the mother. And so it sets up what I think is like this really cool, creepy thing, which is an extended part of the movie where we are in a house with a character who we know is basically like roommates with a ghost, like living with a ghost that's kind of controlling her actions. And it's like this known thing, like this scene where it's later on, third act maybe, but she says she's going to stay overnight. And the ghost, like you don't see the ghost, but you can tell it's pulling her away from the door. Like little things like that, I actually thought were done really well. And I think I really like the play with light. It's a gimmick. Like, I'm not going to say it's more than it is, but I think that it is just a way to create some visually interesting scare scenes.
So, yeah. All right. So there's a couple things that, like, again, I agree. And like, I actually, so like Casey, you made the point like about comparing to some of the Blumhouse stuff. Like to me, what they did here is they were like, to Eric's point, fuck all of the like story. We're not even going to worry about it. And we're just
Right.
going to make this like pretty like quick, just like very, it's spooky. It sets up some of the tension, but really it's about, I mean, it was a lot. I mean, a lot of it even got to the point, because this was James Wan sort of influence. There was definitely some like WWE ghost moves going on at a couple
Yeah,
points.
that's fair.
Which
I mean,
but here's the thing with that kind of bugged me is like, what was the ghost can't go in the light, right? So anytime it's dark, the ghost shows up. But like the rules seemed really sketchy, right? Like
Well,
a
yeah,
little bit,
she
yeah.
could
able
just
to,
turn
like-
off the lights anytime she wanted. Like,
cut
what
the
the hell
power
is
to
that?
the house.
Yeah.
She cut the power to the entire house. Like, oh, and by the way, when you're holding a flashlight, she can come up behind you. It's super easy. Like,
Well, that's what I was talking about with the email. Like, just do that. Just always do that. This movie will be over in 20 seconds.
you know what I was thinking, and not to like jump too far ahead, but like at the end when the lights are all out, I was like, just set the fucking house on fire.
That's what I said. I was like,
Like
burn
the house
it,
on fire.
burn it down.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because she would be you could get out at least. I don't know.
To be fair, though, like my Bloomhouse comment was totally with like Eric in mind, because Eric has talked many times with a lot of the ghost movies we watched. There's a specific formula with, like he said, you have to spend half the movie with the creaky doors, pictures falling off the wall. It's a formula. It gets boring and it's old. This changes it up at least. That's where I could draw the comparison.
I think
Well,
it just
aggressive.
it
was
just
aggressive ghost.
It
was
just
very
drew-
aggressive.
it
She
drew
was a
the-
mean girl. Damn.
it just didn't do the same thing, and I appreciated it for that. And honestly, like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's high art. I think I enjoyed it probably in a sort of summer popcorny kind of way. I'm honestly a little surprised, Schnars, you didn't like it as much as you did. I was expecting everybody to kind of be on board.
I had a decent time, but I just like I could not get over how silly some of the dialogue was, because it would just be. I mean, like,
I did
Mom,
like
I
this-
care about you. Like, it was
I did like the
just-
suggestion
Awfully
that
precocious 10-year-old if he was 10. Like,
I did like the suggestion that like the fact that she listens to heavy metal and is into spooky stuff makes her the worst daughter ever. Like there's a scene where like it's basically implied. They show a picture of her when she's young and she's like is just Little Miss Preppy or whatever, and then we see her now. She's basically like gothed out. She's got black nail polish and like
It was
the
a little
mother.
on the nose,
The mother
but
at one point goes, "Look how you turned out," and I'm just like, she seems super fine actually. I don't.
The moment they walk into an apartment,
she's got
and
a
there's, like,
sweet ass apartment, like you know.
The moment they walk into an apartment, there's like a sideways like metal poster. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking hate you.
There was all, and that I think this again, like this kind of comes down to is like all of the tension between the characters was either non-existent or like very minimal, like very like on the surface, right? So
Yeah.
even the stuff with the mom, they were like, "Mom, we just want you to get better," like even though you're borderline abusive and
Yeah.
like you know.
well,
like,
I mean, the mom, I mean,
You're
she was
keeping demon
mentally
roommate maps.
unhealthy. I mean, like that, their family was super
think-
unstable. And they're just like, oh, well, we can just,
There is a
move
great
past it really fast.
There is a great drinking game to be had. Like every time that the boyfriend is witness to her and the mother acting batshit insane. And like the funny thing was, I kept really waiting for the camera to cut back to him because during a lot of these conversations, I just picture him being like, "What the fuck
is
is
going
he?"
on?
I
Yeah.
mean, he was like good guy Scott Stapp.
He
I was
just like her downstairs business must be made of like gold and silver or something like.
yeah, I was gonna say
No,
the
but
same
legit.
thing,
And then
Joe.
for him to
It's
just keep being like, "No, I don't think you're crazy. I do heroin all the time. That's crazy."
I think good guy Scott Stapp may be the quote of the
Yeah.
show. That is spot on.
I was watching. I caught the end of Halloween H2O yesterday morning, and that I totally forgot that movie ends with a Creed song. And there's maybe I tweeted this like there's no
really?
better summation of that movie than Creed song.
Yeah.
Wait, what Creed song?
I live my life to be over something.
Arms wide open.
No, it's something about I don't want to live. I don't know. How long is living?
I mean,
life?
I just don't know
this.
what the boyfriend was about.
So
Like,
it's-
what?
Everyone in
was
the
this?
theater, when he left, they were like, get out, get out. And then when he showed back up,
Dude,
our
of course.
entire theater laughed so
But
loud.
it's
like
so-
it was 10 minutes of laughter.
So
His last girlfriend must have just like flicked cigarettes at him. Like,
So they're in the house. We're gonna get, I guess, a little spoiler, even though we've like barely talked about the plot. But they're in the house, and we know everybody at this point knows it's afraid of ghosts. It's afraid
Well,
of light.
he was, yeah.
And he leaves because he gets the shit kicked out of him. He drives away, and it was to me like super obvious that he was gonna come back last minute. But he comes back with cops who he knows are gonna be useless. What he should have done was drive to Walmart, pick up a bunch of work lights and a bunch of batteries, and just sit them on the front lawn and just turn those things on and just light the whole house up.
Well, I mean,
Well,
she
normally
could
I
have
would-
turned those off too, couldn't she? I mean,
I don't know
we don't,
outside
we don't
the
know
house
her
though.
rules.
She did. You know what though? She did turn off the street lamp. So
Yeah.
maybe you're
I
right.
would normally say that he was, obviously the grungy goth metalhead boyfriend, so he wouldn't have the money for it, but he drove like a Audi.
I'm gonna be
No,
honest.
no, he drove a Volkswagen.
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of
Still not cheap.
he's kind of
Well,
my
no, but
favorite
I'm saying,
character
like,
in the
he
movie.
wasn't also like that punk rock either.
I kind of
Yeah.
liked him the most of
Yeah.
anyone in the movie. I'm gonna be honest.
eventually,
Yeah.
some metalheads moved to the burbs. All right, Cece.
He
I
seemed
mean, Kyle
he's-
drives a Volkswagen also, so
he
it's okay.
seemed like a sweet
The
guy. I don't
biggest-
know.
The biggest laugh in this movie, though, for my theater, and we weren't packed by any means, but the biggest laugh was when, because you have the whole setup with him wanting to spend the night at his girlfriend's house, and she won't let him. And then when she picks her brother up from school, and he's like, "I could just stay with you," and he's like, "Yeah, good luck, buddy."
Yeah, that got some chuckles.
Bro, I've been
Um,
banging your sister for like 9 months, and I still can't sleep over.
God damn it! There was something actually material I wanted to bring up, and the body count in this movie. This was another thing that kind of bugs me. It's
It
like
was-
you've made an awesome ghost, and it basically like gruesomely murders the father in the first scene.
Mhm.
There is not another death in the movie until the cops show up, and then
Oh,
both
that's
of these
true.
cops get
Yeah.
summarily
Yeah.
like.
Well, there
executed.
weren't enough characters.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. So the boyfriend to me, it's like very obvious. Kill the boyfriend. Like that's
I was
Yeah.
waiting
super
for
duper
it
easy.
to happen. Yeah.
But, and I think, and I won't talk details until we get to the spoiler, but I think at the same time, what redeemed that for me is they didn't pull any punches at the end of this. I thought it was fairly heavy, and
I
I was
like-
kind of surprised they went there.
Yeah.
I like the
We
ending a lot.
should, we should definitely get into it because
Well, John, why don't you,
that's-
before we get
Yeah.
to there, can you like bring us into some of the stuff we learned in like the second and third act, like round out this?
Yeah, well, like I mean,
ghost
let's just we'll round out Diana, who she is, what she's about.
I like
Um,
Joe's spooky Diana. I only want to refer to her as that.
Um, s- yeah, so Diana, so Sophie, we find out, was in a mental institution when she was a teenager. She was sent there by her parents, because she
Movie
was,
Soapy, not our
yeah,
Soapy.
she had depression, right? Like it's like not really clear, but it basically just she was like sad, whatever. I mean, depression, but it was also like they made it seem more pernicious than it might have been. I don't know.
It's just severe mental illness, I would call it.
No, but I mean, like, I didn't get the sense necessarily that the mom, like, when the mom was sent there, it was more like back in the day when you just like sent people away because you didn't want to deal with them.
Oh, she's got lady trouble. Send her to the
Yeah,
insanitarium.
well,
Exactly.
I mean,
That was-
underlying, I mean, like the whole aspect of like woman hysteria kind of
Yeah.
played into it, but I mean, I don't know that
She's got the vapors.
She's got her period. Lock her up.
yeah. So yeah, they so she goes there, and when she's at the mental institution, she meets Diana. Diana's there because she's like straight up evil. Like that's essentially what her mental illness was, I think. But she also has extreme photosensitivity, to the point where like the sun was like burning her. Like, and this is where again I thought the writing was really confusing because they made Diana out to be like this like really mean-spirited girl, but then it's like, why the hell is Sophie hanging out with her? But then,
Yeah.
oh yeah, she has
No.
this photosensitivity.
But you're
and then
forgetting the
But yeah,
part.
Go
You're
ahead.
forgetting
Go
the
ahead.
part where when they found Diana, her parents had both died, I think, and they found her. She'd been locked up in a basement for like 12 years.
Right, but
herself.
also, but they say something.
You're right.
There is this tiny like snippet where they say that she's like super manipulative and that she can like get into people's heads. So it's kind of like it kind of alludes to the fact that she, you know,
she made Sophie like her.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's making Sophie.
I
do
mean,
this.
you're asking me to believe that somebody came back as a ghost. So at that point, just feed me whatever bullshit you want.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's a
And
ghost.
to me though, those little nuggets of exposition, like going into it with this exact same mentality Eric had. This lady came back as a ghost, so feed me bullshit, and they give you enough nuggets of, hey, she was locked up in a basement, so she was really fucked up, and she had this power to get in people's heads and make them do what she wanted. Okay, why not?
But this is where this is kind of interesting, and I'm going to go on a little bit of an aside here. But so, and maybe this kind of ties into where my quote unquote problems with the character come from. But like, so Diana is introduced as this like super monster killer, right? So compare that to like a Michael Myers or a Jason who have similarly convoluted backstories, but are only revealed over several movies. The reality is like the initial backstory for a Jason or a Michael or most of these like hardcore killer, you know, slasher types is actually like super simple, and then it gets sort of fleshed out. This gets fleshed out to the same depth over an hour and 20 minutes. And that's where like I felt like it became an exposition dump for 45 minutes because no one's getting killed. It's literally the sister and brother running back and forth between the sister's apartment and the house.
You know what, though? I will say, like, I felt like in this part there was a lot of tension because there still are scares and the ghost is still kind of omnipresent. Like, I really did feel that the middle portion of the film was pretty tense. Like, her in the apartment and she's scratching in the closet.
I see John's point, though. It's not detracting from the movie from me at all, but I mean, the easy argument would be that, oh, this is a low-budget movie. It's just James Wan producing. It's a director we don't know. They don't know that they're going to get another movie, and so they're going to dump it all in there. But, I mean, if you, especially in the comparison that John brings up with Halloween and stuff, John Carpenter didn't know he was going to get 10 movies to flesh out Michael Myers when he started it. So
I mean, I feel like with your example, John, also, like, they eventually kind of weave these stories to kind of fit with whatever movie that they're making at that time. Like they didn't know they were going to make like a part 9. And like, oh, all of a sudden it turns out, you know, his mom was also a hooker.
It was also it was also 20 years ago. Like movies are, you know, I feel like there's been so many ghost movies at this point, and I'm not defending it because of this, but
I think this would be, and I wouldn't call it a rare case because I think it's a case that should be more common, but this is definitely, especially with John's problems with the movies, which are legit. I think this is a movie that would lend itself to not having sequels.
Right.
If it was a standalone.
I think they're definitely going. My guess is they are going for a sequel, and I can even tell you what they're going to do if you would like to go down that road.
Well, I'll be honest. I think that this movie, you know, I thought it was pretty decent, but I think that a lot of the marketing and hype, it was like a little overblown, and I think that it's just something that benefited from really, really good word of mouth in the horror community, to be honest with you. Like, and I think that the visual gimmick makes for really good trailers. Like the promotion for this movie was really good.
Yeah, I think Brad Miska called it the scariest movie of all.
Mark Newell said it'll make your asshole blow up.
My ass blows out when I see it. But no, there was effective marketing for this film. You had good word of mouth in the horror community.
This was the scariest movie I'd seen until I saw the preview screening of The Woods 2 weeks later.
No, I mean, that's fair. And I think they did well because this was based off of a viral video that thousands of people have seen. I think they played well off of that because, I mean, when I first saw the trailer for this one, I did get confused because it had been so long since I'd seen that viral video. It's like, oh, isn't this that video? And then it kept going, and it's like, oh, weird.
I still haven't seen it because short movies are for suckers.
Was it on the show when we were talking? I think it was last week. We were talking about the face swap between the woman and like the black spot.
Oh, God.
That's like the sequel to this movie. It's gonna be that.
Oh, short film, cool. It's like a movie that's not real.
Yeah, except it's just like an Instagram post that they're gonna turn into a movie.
Oh my God.
They're making our Snapchats into a film, John.
It's about Shanar's trying to find his way to his hotel after a wedding.
I got you
It's
there, buddy.
terrifying.
Come on.
It's truly bone chilling.
It's the scariest horror
The scariest movie of ever.
Yeah. Oh, Christ.
Anything else you guys want to talk about? I really think like getting the cops at the end of the movie, bad move, bro. Get some
We
lights.
have to
Let's
talk
about the end.
We have to talk about the end.
Yeah. Well, first, I just want to say.
What if you got like glow sticks? She can't turn a glow stick off.
Well, she could show up
Yeah.
in the what was it?
It was
The
black
light.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can see her, and you also see some like sweet ass Pink Floyd posters, like in
You
your
gotta
room.
figure the glow stick's only going to be bright enough to cause like minor irritation instead of burning.
Maybe you get
Everybody has to take E.
Maybe you could like wrap her up in glow sticks.
get a giant glow stick, like something they use it for like rescues or something.
Like that kid from Freddy vs. Jason with just all the glow sticks like stapled to his jacket. You don't remember him?
Yeah, I do actually. That's the sad part.
I want to get into two things here, because Cece brought it up over email. I think it was Cece brought up the relationship between this movie and Babadook.
Oh yeah.
Will you, for the love of God?
No. Let me back up because
Wait.
I'm sure people are gonna get like
For the love,
super upset.
for
that
the
I brought
love
that
of
up.
God, Schnars, will you just once say the name correctly?
Bob.
Where does that?
Babadook?
What kind of accent is that
Is
even?
it
The-
like Bob?
the-
like
the
his name's Bob?
Babadook? Like what are you
Yeah, one of these
saying?
here Babadooks all over the house.
Yeah, Jesus.
Babadook.
It's the Babadook.
All right.
Ooh.
Bob.
I
Okay,
ate some
let
bad
me-
chicken.
I
I'm
just
thinking
go with
Babadook.
I just want to say that I didn't want to compare them. That Lights Out is nearly as good as the Babadook.
Yeah.
But it's just I know. I was just saying.
narratively, you're right. it's true.
Nobody saw that part of the email. I didn't want them to think that I was comparing the two.
I would watch this movie again before I watched the Babadook again.
But
I
right,
was
but
not
it's
crazy
like an
about it.
easily consumable. Like it's the
Yes,
general
yes.
audience Babadook.
Yeah.
Like
The
that.
kid's less
That
annoying.
general.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I
the general
enjoy-
like shared psychosis was a lot more understandable in this movie than it was.
What
the
I'm
Babadook.
trying to say is I enjoy Pablum.
All right. Okay. Listen, now that you've admitted it, we can move on. But no, but I mean, it's just it's funny because you're 100% right. It's a very accurate description of my feeling is they saw that movie and they were like, oh,
Let's do
hey,
something
like
like
we
that.
need some plot, like we should do something like that.
I mean, I would agree. I think that's. I mean, it would make sense for that to have happened for sure.
Hey there,
So-
Mr. big time
to
movie
put it-
executive. You see this here, Babadook? We gotta make that there Babadook here.
You
My
wrangled up.
teenager, to put it in perspective, my teenager has not seen the Babadook. So she spent this movie with her face buried in her mom's shoulder. She was fairly freaked out.
Yeah,
so,
I could totally see this playing to teenagers pretty well.
yeah,
Uh,
it was effective for that crowd.
well,
It's fine, Schnars.
in any it's fine.
fine.
I do. So do we want to just go ahead and throw a general?
You know what
spoiler
it's better
alert?
than? It's better than spending 90 minutes thinking about the current state of America.
Yes, that's true.
It is better than that.
I don't know. You could just loop the Michelle Obama
Yeah,
speech like
that's-
several times in a row.
She
And
is a beautiful human being.
Well, that came out like yesterday, though. Most people saw this movie before then.
Yeah.
Fair.
No, I
Alright,
mean,
fair point.
my review of every movie between now and November is going to be that. At least it's not real life.
Shit is getting dark. So let's throw the spoiler up because we're gonna really spoil the end here, and it's material to
Yeah, quick. We got a few
the
minutes
last
left
5
here.
minutes. So basically, what they eventually return to is that the Diana character cannot be destroyed because she is basically sort of in Sophie's head, and she like follows Sophie and is living with Sophie. Sophie actually feels like guilt at having kind of pushed her away when she like actually recovered from her illness.
But really, that was Sophie's choice, John.
Yeah.
Have you been waiting all day?
I fucking hate you.
Yeah. And so what that ultimately comes down to is that the mom, Sophie, to protect her children, realizes that she must kill herself. And she proceeds to do that in front of her daughter.
Yeah.
Andrew, our son wasn't there.
Yeah, no, the
Her
son was
son
outside.
right outside the door, though. I mean, he basically heard it happening, or like heard it about to happen, and then
Yeah,
happened.
he got the better end of
Yeah.
him and his sister.
Do you think Sophie should have
Had
just
Scott
seen
Sapp
Fight
holding
Club?
him in his
and,
wide
like,
arms.
Like realize that like maybe I only have to mostly kill myself.
Well, I thought that Kyle thought that she was going to just like take her medicine and get better again. And I was like, I'm pretty sure she initially thought she was going to OD. And then when she realized that she didn't have enough time for that, she was like, nope, we're just going.
It would have been like a way more boring movie if she was just like, hey, I'm going to treat this mental illness until it improves. And then,
well,
things
I
will
mean,
get
that's
better.
also
can
a
all be
conversation
happy.
about mental health in general. Like,
Well, like the sequel is like Walgreens being closed on the weekend, and she needs to get with a prescription refilled.
hey man,
Oh,
withdrawal.
fuck!
At the
You
same time,
could
for
have some
me-
withdrawal episodes.
For me though, that was really effective because like
Yeah.
a lot of these movies, you would see them doing something like she's gonna take her pills,
Yeah,
and
she'd
treat
end
her
up in
illness
a
and get
mental
and
hospital.
everybody's gonna be back together and happy.
It-
But no, they went fucking dark.
Yeah, it was a bold choice. I will give you that. It made me respect the movie more. Whether or not I think it's like a healthy way to end the movie, I was like,
Well,
well, they really did it. They did
I mean,
that.
I don't think horror movies decide we're going to do this the healthy way and have someone talk about and like really treat
Yeah.
their mental illness because we're using it as a horror trope anyway.
That's fair.
I thought it was pretty good ending.
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty good.
So, do you want to know what Lights Out 2 is about?
yes,
Yes.
please.
So, the obvious like tip to me here is that at one point, and it's during the sort of like several layers of the onion that are unraveled about Diana, they say like, Diana, be careful. She can get in your head and then she just like sticks with you. So like, isn't the easiest thing to do the daughter now? It like,
Well, yeah, because the
several
daughter
years later.
the daughter's a cutter. I mean, like there's several lingering camera shots of the daughter in the
Yeah.
bathroom
Yeah.
and
Well,
she's got
plus,
scars and
yeah, she watched
would-
her mom shoot herself in
Well,
the head.
okay, well,
That
I
is
mean,
not-
before
He
that,
totally did
Mark.
not pick up on the cutter thing. Is that like
I
obvious?
did.
She
Oh,
had
Yeah,
scars.
right after
Yeah.
It
in
was
the
like
very
right here.
in the very beginning, after her and her boyfriend have made love, Joe,
Ooh.
she is changing and like they focus on her arms for. a
Wait,
They
little
They
show
made-
it a couple times.
They made love. When did they get married?
So, so
Did I
Said-
miss like 10
It
minutes of
says
this?
Joe Charnews, writer for
I
MovieGuide.org.
would go as far to say though that they would jump ahead. I like your idea. I would say that they jump ahead further, and it would be Martin
Yeah.
that it's attached.
I bet they're
to.
going the sun.
I think they're shooting
Well,
this thing like right now, though.
I was gonna say, I mean,
Yeah.
I think you could be right too, Casey, because Martin asks Rebecca earlier in the movie, he's like, just because mom's crazy, does that mean that we're crazy too?
Yeah.
So I think that, I mean,
I-
if you
They'll
They'll
wanted
jump
to
to
get
him
to
being
it,
like 19
I
or
will
20.
say
Yeah.
I like this. I can never remember her name, but I like this lead actress a lot. She was in Warm
Warm
Bodies.
Bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like her, and I actually think she does a decent job with like some pretty silly stuff that she has to deliver.
Yeah. So I know we want to wrap, but
Oh,
the
we got
cutting,
time.
the like cutting on her arm, I originally thought that was scars from her having been attacked by Diana when she was younger because they.
Oh,
she
you know what? I
does-
thought the same thing actually. That's now
always-
that you guys mentioned it.
I always immediately think cutting.
Well, I mean, it could just as easily have been
It
cutting.
was the all black wardrobe that made me think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She's-
she had an
she's too
Avengers
into horror
Sevenfold
movies.
poster.
Listen, I didn't say it. The movie said it. I'm just interpreting it.
It's fair. It's fair. No, but then like I think I realized like I'm reading too much into this. They didn't go. I don't know. Maybe that was what they were going for.
well, I was gonna say, I mean, I think that it could have been interpreted that way because we learn later on that like Rebecca and Martin are half siblings because Rebecca's dad like ran off and left her, or like left her and her mom. But then you hear Diana, which by the way, Diana speaking throughout the movie was, I thought, kind of a nice touch. Like,
Creepy.
no,
I
he
would,
didn't.
no, I would go the other way. I would go.
Yeah, I would disagree with that.
I'm
I
with-
don't know. I mean,
I'm with Cece.
I didn't mind
I
it.
couldn't really hear her because people were screaming behind me, so it sounded more like a whisper, and maybe that made it more creepy. But Diana
I-
tells Rebecca, "I'll show you what I did to your dad." So it's, I don't know. I think
You know
that,
what? Cece's
I'm
right.
I'm just assuming Diana had like a 3-pack a day habit from what was going on.
I mean, she got turned into Ash.
me.
But yeah, she did turn
Listen
into
here,
Ash. Good
Julia.
point.
I'm Batman.
Diana worked in Atlantic City as like one of those chef girls for like 20 years or
It's
so.
tough
before
when you're
going to those
breathing in
things.
when you're breathing in secondhand smoke all day. You know, it's tough.
Cigars, cigarettes.
Well, I mean, when people were like thrown into mental institutions for nothing. That was like the only thing they could do was smoke. So
Yeah,
that would make sense also.
True.
They gave like 10-year-olds cigarettes. There.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
I don't
There you
know,
go,
man.
Diana. Your life sucks anyway.
I don't know, man. She's got ghost voice. What do you guys want? Jesus.
Do you think instead of like that weird experiment that they did on her that made her disappear, they could have just tried like sunblock? Like maybe start with that. Like, do you think they immediately had to hook her up to a car battery?
Well,
wanna
I
know
think
how
that
she
it's
got
like-
super strength.
Did
Like she
sunblock
literally
exist back
lifts
then?
the boyfriend
Can't
up into
imagine.
the air and body slams him.
Huh.
When you
After
turn into a
clothesline.
ghost, you get superhuman. I mean, you're not human anymore, so you just
Oh.
get superhuman
It's
strength, I
not
guess.
like he weighed a lot.
James
Well, no.
Wan ghosts are prone to WWE moves. That's
Well,
like
Yeah.
maybe that's what they like to watch.
That's fair.
Maybe that's the only channel they get in the afterlife.
All right,
Yeah, in the
guys.
further.
All right.
Further, that's the only channel that shows
It's
up.
just a
Eric
looping pay-per-view of
is
WrestleMania
disappointed
3.
with the
Wrap it up,
direction of this
folks.
conversation.
All right, guys. MovieGuide.org is a website that grades content for family people based on, let's say, religious standards, and they give that
Yeah,
content
that's a fair thing
to you and
say.
me. Lights out. Review tagline: Darkness can't exist in the light.
Well, wow, they're going,
Yeah.
going pretty deep
So
here,
Mark
I
doesn't
guess.
do this, but I like to read their little
Spoiler alert.
acronyms before the review. They have like little inside baseball acronyms for all the things that they point out. So that's fun. Stand
Oh,
by.
it's a pretty interesting site they've got.
So acronyms for this review: BB, C, O, L, VV, S, N, DD, and M. So
Ooh.
watch out. Strong
Double
moral worldview about family, courage, and redemptive self-sacrifice, with light Christian symbolism about light casting out evil, where good wins over evil in the end, but occult elements where demonic supernatural forces are not defeated by faith or similar supernatural means. 5 obscenities and 3 profanities. Strong, intense, scary violence includes man is killed by a demonic spirit, and his mangled body is seen all bloody. 2 police officers are killed, one of them with his eyes gouged. Man, this one is like all misspelled. Spoiler, woman shoots herself to save her family from the spirit in many moments of intense peril with scary images of the spirit's figure in the dark. Implied fornication with an unmarried couple shown lying in bed, and a reference to going
Yep.
another round. No explicit sexual nudity, but upper male nudity. Woman is seen in undergarments, and woman changes behind a foggy glass. No alcohol use, no smoking, but a woman has a marijuana bong in her apartment and a slightly dysfunctional family.
That was
Oh,
slightly
like-
dysfunctional.
They really stuck the landing there. That was
I
good.
liked the bong shot. That was actually that got a little chuckle in my
So-
That
audience
could be
too.
for tobacco.
Mark doesn't really point out that they like write full-on reviews, and they basically say that this is a superbly directed horror thriller. It accomplishes something few horror movies do: find a way to be creative and suspenseful without gratuitous violence or lewd content.
That's kind of interesting that like
I was
they
gonna
actually
say-
have like a good review of it.
As far as
Yeah.
supernatural thrillers go, though, Lights Out fails to address the supernatural problem with a supernatural solution. The characters do fight to protect one another, show courage, and even display self-sacrifice. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. No. Yeah, so basically, like, in other words, it's a supernatural villain, but they don't use Jesus to fight it.
Right.
Yeah.
That'll get you in trouble.
Well, I'm
Maybe they
surprised they
should've.
didn't talk about. I mean, that they say she shoots herself, not that she committed suicide.
Harry Carey.
Well,
Yeah.
she did it to protect her family.
Well, yeah, but
Is
I'm
it
saying
still
in the
suicide? I guess
judo.
it's still suicide.
I mean, maybe
Joe.
not. Maybe Jesus understands. I
Joe,
don't
if the
know.
moon were made out of cheese, would you eat it?
Do you think if she would have said Jesus take the wheel before she blew her brains out?
All right, guys, that's going to do it for our review of Lights Out. Would you
Wait.
recommend it, Joe?
I would wait for home video.
Cece?
Yes.
John?
Yeah, with Joe. Yes, but don't really rush out.
Casey?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Home video. It's the way to go. All right, guys, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
10 years ago, Halloween, evil had a shape. Terror had a night. And now he's back.
6 bodies, Sheriff. That's what I've seen. I tell you, Michael Myers is here in this town.
Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers. He's come home to kill. Halloween 4, rated R.
Starts Friday, October 21st at theaters everywhere.
Hi, my name is Quinn Lord, and I'm from Trick or Treat, and you are listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. Back in the house to talk about fans that have sent us mail.
Male fans.
info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. Joe, I've been saving an email for you for 3 weeks now.
Oh, I heard this on the Independence Day episode I listened to today. I'm very excited.
Axel has this to say. Joe, you may still be the go-to guy for beer advice, but your musical knowledge remains questionable to me.
Uh-oh.
I already had to call you out for saying Fear was from LA, and now you say that Dillinger 4 may be a band, quote, the kids might know, quote, because he's never heard of them.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Joe? I'm calling you out. Saying that, your rendition of Enigma rocked. I'd also like to ask when the crew is going to review Calvaire. I've been asking for 2 years now, and it's time, right? Question mark.
Wait, is he calling me out for my ignorance being...
I'm just going to say none of that made... Like, I didn't understand any of those words at all, so you're ahead of me, Joe.
Yeah. I have no idea where Fear is from. I don't... and I take offense to him saying that my ignorance is not ignorant enough.
Yeah, no, Joe's got ignorance down. He's got it covered. What is Calvaire?
Yeah, I don't know. How do you spell it? I have no idea.
Calvaire.
Ah, C-A-L.
Calvaire.
Yeah.
Who has he been asking for 2 years? That's the question.
I think what's important is that we've returned to innocence.
It looks pretty spooky. It's from 2004.
Yeah. So I listened to that song, Joe, you were posting about it. I totally forgot about that awesome, just like Native American chant that's just the chorus. It's just the guy being like,
The video is the best. It's just everything's going backwards.
Everything's in reverse for absolutely. There's a unicorn walking in reverse for no reason.
They could show that video in place of like a week's worth of sex ed in high school and just get the exact same results.
Jesus.
So jumping back to Calvaire, it's a Belgian horror film from 2004.
I like that beer.
It looks interesting. I would put it on our, list of potential. I mean, it's pretty old at this point, but we could still, give it a look-see.
Next up, this is from Neil. Hey there, BGH, longtime listener from Calgary, Alberta. I thought it was hilarious that you played the Chud trailer bumper during the Ghostbusters 2016 review, as I saw the trailer for that movie during the original 1984 Ghostbusters release.
Nice!
It was just a funny coincidence I thought you might care for. I might also add the trailer gave me nightmares for weeks as I was convinced a Chud was in every sewer. I gave manhole covers a wide berth for years. Anyways, thanks for many hours of entertainment, as I am lucky and can listen at my work, and I am often sad when I don't hear him on the show.
Who?
I think he meant to say I think he meant to put a person's name in there, but he didn't.
I'm going to assume it's me, but
sure.
That's fine.
Sure.
I'm going to go with me, John.
Like, literally, it looks like it's set up to have a name in there, but it doesn't. Thanks again, and if you would so kindly check out my channel, Skeleton Studios on YouTube and Facebook, you'll see some great handmade horror items made by myself. Ooh. Sorry for the plug, but I hope you can appreciate my work too. Thanks. Neil, you followed the correct route, which is to profusely give us compliments.
There you go.
And like specific ones. I often get emails from people that are like, I love your insert podcast name here. Please pimp my thing. And I'm like,
here's
bro,
my short film about balls.
This isn't my first day, bro. Come on. Next up, here we go. Neil writes in again. I mean, I meant to say that I get sad when Joe is not on the show. That dude is half the reason it's so good.
That's bullshit, Neil. I was just about to watch Skeleton Studios, but I'm turning it off.
Next up, Spencer says, "Hey BGH, love the show. It's been a lot of fun listening to it. Been missing Joe lately. His comments always seem so way out of left field. Anyway, have any of you heard of the Swiss Army Man movie with Daniel Radcliffe? Just saw it today. It was great. Found out there was a movie guide entry for it, and though it's not really a horror movie, the entry is pretty funny. We'll have to save it because I think we'll probably do it at some point."
Yeah, I think when it hits DVD.
That is from Spencer. Thank you, Spencer. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. We're also on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH, or if you hear funny things, if you're a Patreon member and you've been going through back episodes, you hear funny stuff, hit us up with hashtag BGH Classics.
Do you want to give out the voicemail number as well?
Who's got tweets for me tonight?
I've got some tweets pulled up. So
are we sure that we shouldn't have Joe do it? He seems to be the fan favorite.
I mean, listen, if Joe wants to do it, he can go fuck himself.
I believe it's obvious that I've spent the last 3 weeks making fake email accounts.
No, I mean, but if Joe's got him pulled up, we could take turns.
I do not, John. Why don't you?
Right, so I'll just.
I feel like you need a little pick me up.
I do. Joe, you're nothing if not generous, so I appreciate that. The first one comes from Chupacabro7, our new favorite Twitter handle. He says, "When will BGH start a pogcast? Hashtag pog necklace, hashtag shoelace."
By the way, we were listening to that in the car. My wife thought that was amazing.
Yeah, it made me laugh for a solid 15 minutes.
We also listened to a little show called Friends of the Real Housewives. Joey, do you know anything about that show?
I do. I know a lot about it. It's do you want me to just? I'll plug it.
Yeah.
Evan and I started doing. I want to say we're on episode 24 now. We started doing a Real Housewives podcast. Pretty much every week we talk about whichever season's on at the time. I think we started with Beverly Hills, and now we've gone all the way. We're into New York, Jersey, and OC. Big news is that we actually Evan reached out to one of the Real Housewives of Dallas, Leanne, who was one of like the main characters, and she's actually agreed to come on the show.
Shut up!
Oh my god,
that is amazing.
So we don't have a date or anything yet, but Evan's kind of coordinating that. So we'll have like a segment. It'll probably be like Evan and I talking to her, and then we'll do like our regular show.
Yeah, so we were on a longer than it had to be road trip this weekend, and we put it on and started listening. I will say that when you start talking about the actual shows, my eyes kind of gloss over, but like the banter between you and Evan is a lot of fun. Like
he's a great guy. Like he can, you know, I've told this story a lot, but like the first time I met him, my wife and I were out in California, and we were going to Disneyland. And I was kind of like, you know, meeting him for the first time. We didn't really know each other. Like, it could be like super awkward, but like, he just walks up and he'll talk to you like he's known you for like 20 years. Like, he's just, he's like, he's an awesome guy. So like, it flows really well.
He's a good dude.
My wife made me listen to the section where he did an impersonation of, I think her name's Melania or something.
Oh my God, the kid, yeah.
Who's like a 10-year-old child, apparently.
Before the show, we were talking about that, and I'm like, I am super uncomfortable with this. Like,
how do people find that show, Joe?
We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on all the usuals. We have a Twitter account. It's at FriendsRH, and if you search us on Facebook, we're Friends of the Real Housewives. You can find us there. We don't have like an actual website or anything, but you know, we're out there.
Who needs one of those these days, huh? Am I right?
Schnars, carry on.
All right. From Mi Corazon Mi Amor from Monica. The Woods has this one's a little dated now, given the beginning of the show, but she says The Woods has been updated to Blair Witch remake, reimagining, resurgence.
Nice. Anytime that she writes in, Joe has to say the name because he just is his beautiful way of saying it.
True.
I think she's also paid me compliments about my looks, so I'm a huge fan of her work.
Yeah.
She may be a blind woman. It's undeniable. I'm sorry. Come on, I gotta get my shots in.
I love when all my children are home and fighting.
All right, the next one is from Oliver Stout. That's Stouto114. He says, which is scarier, the lights unexpectedly going out or the anticipation of having to turn the lights on? movie rocked?
Man, that's
I
a
say,
great
like,
question. I
immediately
think.
going out.
Oh, I think the other way.
Yeah,
like
I think the lights
to
come
think
out,
that
like,
there
I
could
think
be
that's-
something right in your face and you flip the light on. That's scary.
Yeah.
See, I'm in between because like the lights going out doesn't freak me out. The lights coming and going don't freak me out. Having to go downstairs and check the fuse box scares the poop out of me.
Yeah, I also have this weird irrational fear that like dark windows, that someone's face is just, I'm just gonna look and the face is gonna be there.
I had to close the window.
And if
because
you
I
go
realized
back
it was-
to the one, I think it was the Sharknado Spooktacular, and we were all like super drunk, and my wife snuck around the back of the house and actually did that, like stuck her face in the window, and I had the gif somewhere of me being like, oh, that's like a huge fear of mine.
All right.
It's a good question.
At Blue Daisy 90 asks, what effects did they not do with lights that could have been really cool in Lights Out? Hashtag strobe, hashtag weeping angels effect.
Dude, strobe, good idea.
Strobe.
Yeah, well, they kind
they
of
did the
started
strobe.
to. Yeah, because the flashlight like went over her, and she'd like parts of her went away. So
What's Weeping Angels effect? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Doctor Who.
Oh.
It's the Doctor Who reference. The Weeping Angels are an alien race that live in a different phase of time, I think, is what it is. So if you're looking at them, they can't move and they look like statues. But if you're not looking at them, they're creeping up on you.
How's that working the light though?
That sounds scary.
Well, they I guess maybe it's like when she like shines the light on and off her,
it
and like,
can't
she
get out of
looks
the
her
light.
Yeah.
That could have been cool. Yeah, they just
Well,
kind of freeze.
They kind of did that. There was a couple.
They did
even
sorta do it,
in
yeah.
the very first scene. I think doesn't he like turn the lights go out and then he turns them back on by like waving his arm, and she's
Yeah.
like way closer.
Yeah.
No, the one that we talked about over email, but we didn't talk about during the show was the gunshots. I thought was
Yeah.
actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Because they kept trying to shoot her, and then she
Oh,
would just.
well.
disappear.
It was like the muzzle flash would show her for a second.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff, who is at Bushmoose27.
Okay.
Mhm.
Nice. Says,
Boosh.
what bad rock star was Brett modeled after?
I think we established that.
Definitely that era of like early 2000s rock for sure.
Yeah.
Like he could be like the Incubus lead singer or something.
No, yeah, I don't know.
You just think it's Scott
like
Stapp,
a combination of what is his name?
Brandon something.
And Scott Stapp, because it was a little too like I don't know.
Pardon me.
It's very Papa Roachish.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough hair gel for it to be Papa
Cut
Roachish.
my arm bleeding. Sorry.
All right. So
Return to innocence.
Courtney O. She's No, come on. Reel him back in. Eric, you are not supposed to encourage him. Courtney O, who's at Hello Courtney O. Do you think Lights Out will be as effectively scary if seen at home as opposed to in the theaters, or perhaps even scarier?
I think so.
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
think so.
I could see like watching that at home, like, you know, with like all the lights out, and then it's like super spooky to go like
Yeah.
upstairs and
I mean, I will probably not watch it again because I would watch it at home and no thanks.
I mean, like, at the risk of making Eric like think ill of me, I think most people have like at least a halfway decent TV now. That's, you know, you
I
get
have
like
a
reasonably sized.
I have a
So-
high definition television and a speaker bar, John.
Oh my god!
Ooh.
Wait, is
Hold
this
on.
new? Is this
No big deal.
Simmer down. So yeah, I think it can definitely work at home. All right, Lucas Lumby, that's L_Lumby, asks, so Lights Out is based off of a short. What are some of your favorite short / other horror mediums you enjoy between movies?
Oof. None. I don't think I've ever seen a short.
I mean, sorry that I guess I watched them. There's a really good short called The Birch that Crypt TV put out, which kind of plays into like Blair, not plays into, but the like monster is kind of Blair Witch-ish, but it's really good.
John,
Yeah,
And David Lynch put out a short that's like very unsettling, but it was really good too.
could you restate the question, John?
Well, I was going to say, so he's asking you both about shorts and then also other horror mediums. I mean, I know we've touched on this previously.
I really
but...
enjoy listening to horror soundtracks.
Okay.
And I've also been kind of dabbling with horror podcasts lately. I honestly haven't found a lot that I'm like in love with, but I've been doing a little bit of that.
We should mention that Mark started a playlist on Spotify
Yes.
of
Oh, yeah.
horror like songs from horror movies.
It's the what is it? It's called
Secret
the
Murder Jams or something.
Yeah, Secret Murder
Jams.
Jams. Yeah. I follow it. It's pretty solid. I'll throw it on every once
It's
in a
a
while.
really good.
Yeah,
I mean, they're just good songs.
It's public. It's public, so you should be able to find it. Secret Murder Jams.
Yeah, there's a couple dozen followers, I know for sure. So, cool. All right, so Jeremy Burgess at Free Burge. Assuming some or most of y'all like this one, anybody excited to see Sandberg do Annabelle 2 or nah?
No.
Oh boy, I guess he's signed on for that. Is that confirmed?
Could we make it Andy Samberg?
It'd be better if it was Adam Sandler.
I'd watch that.
Oh,
Listen,
God.
I think I was in the pro.
I think you liked Annabelle.
camp.
It was fine.
Really?
It was fine. I don't really give a shit
I
about a
didn't like
sequel,
it.
though. To be honestly, anything that involves more Warrens, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't in Annabelle though.
They might as well be.
I would think they'd be in Annabelle 2. Maybe.
It's
It would at least
tangentially
be-
related.
It
to
would
the,
make sense for them.
it
to be in
requires me to discuss the Warrens.
Very good. So the next one comes from Mr. Stoner. That's at Mr. Stoner 82. You guys ever call Freddy's number? Hashtag who else remembers? And he links to a
Was this
AV Club article.
Freddy's Nightmares.
Yeah,
Is it one of those like 1-900 numbers?
it was a 1-900 number from.
I do remember this.
Yeah, the 90s that you could call.
No.
Maybe even before.
No,
the
but I do
90s.
remember Nightmare in My Street.
I
Oh.
remember calling Miss
Will
Cleo, and she died today, so that was kind of sad.
The
So,
cards
You didn't see that
never lie.
coming.
I'm super glad you brought that up. I don't know if I've ever told the story, but my sister called Miss Cleo when she was like 5, like apparently a lot of times. Ended up my parents got like $100 phone bill.
Holy shit!
And, like,
They
that's
still
crazy.
bring it up. They still bring it up to this day.
What did she ask Miss Cleo?
I know.
She
Like,
was like, because she used to have the commercials on TV all the time.
So what did a 5-year-old need to know?
I mean,
Are you there, Miss Cleo? It's me, Margaret.
I mean, you guys remember the commercials, right?
yeah.
Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
Well,
were
and
actually,
I think they start charging you, like, if you say you want to talk to her, like, they start charging the minute your wait starts.
Also,
so-
if you at any point today made a joke about whether or not she saw it coming, you are literally the worst of
Aw,
everything.
Casey.
I just did.
So you're the worst. Sorry.
I think it was cancer, right? Like that's,
Yeah,
that's
it
not
was.
funny.
She was only 53.
Yeah,
I thought she was like
53.
53 in the
I know.
90s.
I thought she was 53 when the commercials were on. Like,
Also, I did not hear Casey say that, but I still stand by my remarks.
Next question comes from at DJ Aryid. I don't know how the hell we decided.
It's Jared.
Jared. Jared. What's your spirit Pokemon? I feel that the Schnapps character evokes a Psyduck aura.
oof.
I
I'm
gotta
okay
be
with that.
honest. As annoying as I found his presence, I think I'm probably Weedle. Just a little guy.
Oh, Weedle.
Oh, he's just
That's
a little
good
guy.
one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always saw Eric as more of a Meowth.
Just arms out.
I have no idea. I gave that
Joe-
game 3 days and
Joe
I
caught a
stopped.
Pokemon once.
I did. 3 days.
Are you still playing, Joe?
No, I stopped. I uninstalled.
I would say I'm playing like much less fervently, but I'm still
Yeah.
playing. Like I was in New York this weekend, caught a bunch of new stuff I didn't have yet.
It was taking up too much time, and like my phone was like the battery was always draining. Like
I will say I've not engaged at all with like the gym taking over stuff because I just think it's not done very well. But I very much enjoy the collecting aspect.
Yeah, until they have like a better battle mechanic and like reason for me to like play and
Yeah.
like build up Pokemon, like I'm not getting.
So
that.
there was a list out of some convention or something. Maybe it was Comic-Con, I guess, of new features they're gonna add. And one thing that's kind of cool is like the ability to like customize Pokestops. Like if in other words, if you visit a lot, you can like upgrade and do things to that stop, which I think seems like a cool thing.
I mean,
like,
I
I
literally
certainly-
live on top of
Because like I certainly have ones that I'm checking into a bunch every day because I'm just going by them a lot.
Yeah.
They also said that there's only like 10% of the game that's released right now.
Yeah. Which like
Well-
maybe finish your game before you release it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with that, but it's also
But
like
it's all a conspiracy anyway.
10%. Yeah.
Damn
All
it,
right,
Susie.
let's move on. That concludes Pokemon Hour for today. So next one comes another one from Oliver Stout at Stouto114. My bro made this for me last week. Best gift ever. And Eric, I sent you a picture.
Yeah, it's a I guess I can put it up here.
It's the nun from Conjuring 2.
A painting. It's a painting of the nun from
painting
Conjuring
of.
2.
Well, this was it's
Wow.
really
I mean,
accurate to the
it's
movie.
very well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I might ask.
Not want that hanging in my house.
I might ask why
yeah.
your brother hates you so much.
So yeah, creeptastic. We got one more here from Gaminista. That's Gina. If you had a mental illness that took on a form, what form would that be?
What?
Mine would probably look something like Eeyore.
That's a little deep for the end of the podcast.
No.
Maybe
Well,
we should talk about that one before.
I can look up some
Weedle?
BGH
I don't know. Are we still doing that?
Oh, poor Weedle. He's everywhere.
So no one has another.
I have no idea.
No. Okay.
I'm constantly getting Weedles in my house.
You
Anyone else
should
have that
throw
problem?
an exterminator.
Yeah.
Get that sprayed or something. I don't know. I got high blood pressure. What does that look like?
Is that a mental illness?
Yeah.
We does not look like we have any new BGH classics. At least none that we didn't hit last week. So if folks do hear anything fun, by all means, tag us back on the Twitters.
Awesome. John, you're a person. Picture this. You're a person.
I don't have to picture it. I am a person.
And
It's
you're
weird.
out in the world and you've begun to listen to the Bloody Good Horror show.
Yes.
And you're like, I want more of this. How do you do that?
The first thing to do is subscribe and find us on iTunes, and maybe even throw us a review if you're pleased with what you're hearing. We usually keep about 10 episodes in the feed. That's sort of our goal. It will grow when one of us gets lazy and doesn't delete them from the feed. That's typically on me.
Which just happened.
But we did just clear out the feed a little bit, so sorry if folks were just recently finding us. But what you should do from there is go to Patreon. Check us out there. It's a great way to get all of the back episodes. If you pledge at the $6 amount, you get access to all the episodes except the, I believe, first 10, which Eric deemed to be too radioactive to only be for the hardcorest of hardcore fans.
At a certain level, you totally get the first 10, and you're welcome.
Yeah,
You should really get totes, right? Like commemorative totes.
we should, with Patreon, you also get access to our spin-off shows, which include Sophistical and Somatic and Something Red. We'll have a new Sophistical this week. It should be dropping soon. We actually watched The Lobster, so if anyone's interested in hearing us wax philosophic on that.
And that's in the
Somebody in that? Like somebody famous?
It's
a big name.
Colin Farrell.
That's in
there's
the
actually a lot of it. Rachel Weisz.
That's in the free
feed. It is a weird fucking movie.
That's in the free feed.
That's going to be on Patreon.
Okay.
So yeah, and I know Cece's got a show coming up. Casey,
Yes.
something coming.
I've
down
got
the
a
pipe.
show sitting in the can if once I fix my computer, which probably will be this weekend.
Well, my Something Red episode is Joe Hill's Nosferatu. It is a discussion of that book, which will actually be a mini-series on AMC, I think, coming in the
Nice.
fall.
And do we know Schnarr's which spinoff is free in the feed this month? I'm just curious.
It'll be Something Red, I believe.
Okay, there you go. Books.
Books.
Some people actually read them. I just found this
Yeah.
out recently.
Check them out.
Weird. I just thought it was just fodder for angry people to burn when they're upset.
Yikes.
You know.
Yeah, Jesus, Eric.
John, what's next week?
Next week, I wish. No, actually, I am ready. Next week is Nerve ? Because we didn't decide if we are gonna do it or not.
I can't wait. Is this the like weird social media thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the one where they play Pokemon, but
Honestly,
it's like real life.
I kind of want to. I kind of want to do that. We can talk about it off air, but
Oof.
I think it looks interesting.
We will probably so what we should say is we'll probably cover Nerve because we have 3 open weeks after this, so we'll either cover it next week or we will cover it in one of the following weeks.
Okay, sounds good. That's gonna do it for our review of Lights Out. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you next week.
See you.
See ya.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.